Hello, and welcome to Cafe Misteria, the best place in town for mysterious morsels. Here we talk about the unexplained, the paranormal, conspiracy theories, can we even say that? Creepy creatures and historical mysteries. Basically, if it's mysterious, I want to talk about it. My name is Liz, and I'm your host. Here in the cafe, we specialize in stories that will keep you up at night, or at least give you something to think about when you're in the shower the next morning. Today is episode 2, and we are buying a one-way ticket to mystery. The year is the present day, the location is Denver, Colorado, and the story is the Denver International Airport. On the western edge of the Great Plains, northeast of the Mile High City, a behemoth of concrete and steel sprawls across the landscape. White, tent-like peaks reach into the sky, an artistic counterfeit of the majestic Rocky Mountains, shielding travelers from the thin air and the hot sun. The Denver International Airport, or DIA as it is known, is not only a hub for international flights, but also a hub for several creepy conspiracy theories ranging from doomsday bunkers, the New World Order, and secret codes about the future embedded in artwork. Under 16 miles of runways and 52 square miles of land are rumored to be underground tunnels that serve a more nefarious purpose than a baggage claim system. Rumors abound that this is the headquarters for the elite and secret societies. Cryptic artwork lines the hallways in plain sight and hidden underfoot. So what does it all mean? And should we be worried? The Denver International Airport was built in 1995. It replaced the Stapleton Airport, which was closer to Denver. In fact, DIA is about 25 miles outside of downtown Denver. It's the largest airport in North America by land area at 52.4 square miles. That is twice the size of Manhattan. And it's the second largest airport in the world, second only to the King Fahd International Airport in Saudi Arabia. It's the 20th busiest airport in the world, and in 2019, 69 million passengers flew in and out of DIA. The location and size of DIA has prompted one of the most popular theories, and with that, let's dive right in. Theory 1, it's not just an airport out there. Circumstances surrounding the construction of DIA fuels the theory that the remote site doesn't just contain the airport. The airport went over budget and took more time to build than originally anticipated, and this has prompted theorists to speculate about the fate of the extra money and time. People report riding the tram system underground and seeing numerous unmarked tunnels leading off into the distance. Construction workers and contractors who worked on the airport allegedly claim that they helped build buildings and bunkers under the airport. And there is even the rumor that 5 buildings were mistakenly built on the site and later just buried, so they're now underground. Others believe there is a government bunker under the airport to be used in the event of a continuity of government-worthy emergency. In the event of an emergency in D.C., the president and other government officials will be evacuated to various safe locations throughout the nation. We already know of the existence of such facilities such as the bunker under the Greenbrier Hotel in West Virginia, so the existence of a bunker under an airport isn't all that far-fetched. This theory makes sense to me. DIA is about 100 miles away from the Cheyenne Mountain Complex, where the alternate command center for NORAD is located, as well as an Air Force training base. NORAD is the North American Aerospace Defense Command, an organization responsible for aerospace defense of both the United States and Canada. So it might be wise to have an international airport connect to a military installation that can be reached via underground tunnel. This could allow world leaders and politicians to perhaps fly into the airport and then travel to the bunkers and installations underground undetected. Other rumors are that the tunnels house a doomsday bunker for members of the world's elite in the event of a cataclysm, kind of like the Ark in the movie 2012. If that's the case, how do I get on this list? Theory 2 is that secret societies have something to do with it. You can't have a conspiracy without evoking the involvement of a secret society. The Freemasons have always sparked rumors due to their secrecy. Commonly considered a harmless fraternal and service organization, others think that they're more akin to the Illuminati or New World Order, or a secret group of people who run the world. The possible influence of Freemasonry at DIA is found in the Great Hall of the airport's south entrance. A plaque commemorating the construction of the airport features the Freemason compass and square symbol and the accompanying text. Denver International Airport Dedication Capstone. The time capsule beneath this stone contains messages and memorabilia to the people of Colorado in 2094. And there are names of Grand Masters of the Masonic Lodges listed, as well as the name of the mayor at the time and other dignitaries. But at the bottom of the capstone are the words, New World Airport Commission. Anytime you put the words New World next to one another, the conspiracy theories will come running. For those of you not in the know, the New World Order is a shadow government that manipulates world events, allegedly. So whenever these theories began to surface, if you looked up the New World Airport Commission, you couldn't find it. It didn't exist for all intents and purposes. So an organization that doesn't exist, yet is immortalized in marble on this dedication stone, financed the second largest airport in the world. Sounds a little bit weird. The Colorado news website Westward reports that the organization does in fact exist. It was an ad hoc group of small businessmen who promoted the airport to Denver citizens. Their main purpose was to plan an air show and a gala in 1993. Charles Ansbacher, an orchestra conductor who moved to Massachusetts after living in Colorado, co-chaired the organization and said that the name came from Dvorak's New World Symphony. The New World Airport Commission name emphasized that DIA was the newest airport in the world at that time. It was the first new airport built in this country since Dallas-Fort Worth in 1973. He said that the name did not symbolize the DIA was a monument to the New World Order. The idea that there is anything secretive about this is totally preposterous, Ansbacher said. Ansbacher said that he was actually present at the time the capstone was dedicated, and the Masonic symbol is on the stone because the local lodge provided the time capsule that is buried underneath. Theory 3 is the disturbing artwork of DIA. So visitors to Denver International Airport will encounter a wide variety of odd decor and art choices. According to flydenver.com, the website of the Denver International Airport, artists worked with architects, designers, and construction companies early in the airport design process to create a seamless integration of art, architecture, and environment. And the result is a variety of art installations, sculptures, murals, all throughout the airport, creating an extensive airport art program. About $7 million was spent on this artwork. Some exhibits are permanent and some are temporary. Some depict historical events in the history of Colorado, and some are more abstract. As one enters the airport complex, they are met by an ominous 32-foot-tall blue fiberglass horse. It's formally called the Mustang, but others have called it Lucifer. It's a blue Mustang horse rearing up on its hind legs. There are bulging veins throughout its body, and its eyes light up in red neon. DIA officials say that it's a piece of art that stands for the wild heart of the West, but theorists claim that the horse is anything but harmless. Glowing red eyes doesn't exactly sound comforting. In fact, the sculpture actually contributed to the death of its creator, Luis Jimenez. While working on the sculpture, part of it fell off and hit him, severing an artery, causing him to eventually die. His family pushed forward, finished the sculpture, and it was eventually put up in its current location. Other odd artwork in the airport consists of gargoyles popping out of suitcases and a 7-ton, 26-foot-tall concrete sculpture of the Egyptian god of the dead and afterlife, Anubis, was temporarily put up at the airport as advertising for the Denver Art Museum's King Tut exhibit. But by far, the artwork that commands the most attention are two eerie paintings by Denver artist Leo Tanguma. Two colorful paintings depict disturbing and cryptic images that theorists believe hold a secret and sinister meaning if you only know how to decode it. Each painting is made up of 2 panels, so some people may think that it's 4 works of art, but it's really 2 works of art with 2 panels each. The first painting is entitled In Peace and Harmony with Nature, and it depicts children. Some of them seem to be from Central or South America, based on their skin color and their clothing. And in the background, a forest is on fire with red and yellow flames. There's black smoke billowing into the sky. And in the foreground, there look to be 3 caskets with dead bodies in them. One looks like a German or Nordic girl with blonde braids, and I believe there's 2 boys. The children are surrounded by dead animals, like a leopard, a turtle. Some animals are in clear boxes, like a large penguin-like animal, and some other birds. And there's also a taxidermied buffalo head on the wall. The other panel of In Peace and Harmony with Nature shows all the children of the world happily cavorting about. Many of the animals that were dead in the other part of the painting are now alive. The background is full of green grass, there's mountains, trees, and sunlight. And in the center of the painting, all the children are gathered around and focusing on a psychedelic rainbow-colored plant growing out of the ground. Now, the dead animals in the first painting were a little bit weird. In this painting of all the children and the plant is more normal of the two. Doesn't really seem that weird. Its partner painting, Children of the World Dream of Peace, depicts bombed-out buildings and a Nazi-looking stormtrooper figure with a large scimitar sword stabbing a white dove of peace. There is a long line of sad and crying women walking into the distance, and the nearest one is holding a dead baby. There are also 3 children at the bottom of the painting who look like they're sleeping underground under a pile of bricks, or maybe they are dead. Not sure if they are sleeping or dead. Now, there's the Nazi imagery, and the fact that the soldier is stabbing a dove, typically a symbol of peace, has provoked a lot of response that Nazis have something to do with the airport, and that someone is trying to convey a message about Nazis still being present and in charge of whatever, the airport, the world. The second panel in the painting, Children of the World Dream of Peace, shows a crowd of children, all in ethnic and folk costumes from around the world. Various children are in pairs, holding swords wrapped in flags of nations that have at one point or another been enemies. So I see 2 children, one from the United Kingdom, one from Ireland, one from India, one from Pakistan, one from the United States, and one from Russia. And they all have bunches of swords wrapped in those flags, and they're bringing these swords to the center of the picture and giving them to a blonde-haired boy who is seemingly beating the swords into plowshares, which is a reference to a Bible verse about war and hate ending and then ushering in a world of peace. So they're beating their swords into plowshares. They no longer need swords, and so they're going to become plowshares or farm equipment, something more innocuous. So the Nazi stormtrooper is now dead. His slumped figure's at the bottom of the painting, and then there are 2 doves who are watching the boy who are creating plowshares. And in the bottom right of the painting looks like a pedestal that's broken and has cracks in it, and the pedestal contains the words war, violence, and hate. Tanguma has insisted that his paintings aren't nefarious, and nobody approached him telling him what to paint. And after the airport scuttlebutt about the painting had reached a fever pitch, DIA then asked Tanguma to share some information about his inspiration for the artwork, and that is now included on explanatory signs posted next to the paintings. He says these paintings are commentaries on war, peace, environmental destruction, kind of widespread issues like that. He said the first panel in each painting depicts the negative, and the second panel depicts humanity coming together and overcoming these obstacles like environmental destruction and war. And the reason for various represented nationalities is to illustrate the international message of environmental destruction, not to signal anything about any particular race or personality. So I've never been to the Denver International Airport. I'm not really a fan of flying. But after hearing all these stories about, secret things underground and this creepy artwork that is seemingly full of symbology and the big horse with the red freaky eyeballs, it didn't exactly make me rest easy. I don't think I would intentionally fly in and out of Denver International Airport after all this disconcerting artwork. Even if it's totally innocuous and it's just weird artwork, it just really wouldn't give me a good feeling, especially since I don't enjoy flying as it is. So it's just kind of odd. But going back to the Tanguma paintings, I alluded to this a little bit earlier. There are people who think there is a deeper meaning hidden among these colorfully clad children. And one of those meanings is about theory number 4, which is the Nazis have something to do with it. So a subset of the conspiracy theory genre maintains that DIA has something to do with Nazis in Germany. Looking at an aerial photograph, the runways are laid out in the shape of a swastika, allegedly. However, it's not exactly a clear representation of the symbol, and there seems to be an extra arm, whereas the symbol of the swastika typically has like the 4 arms. Officials say that the runways were laid out in this way to handle heavy winds in the area and to allow maximum aircraft takeoffs and landings. This pattern would allow air traffic controllers more leeway to land the plane safely. And they say if it's shaped like this, it's totally innocent. It wasn't intentional. Then there is the thought that the soldier with the gas mask in the Tanguma painting is in fact a Nazi. People mention the shape of the hat looks like a World War II German uniform. Then furthermore, people say in the painting with all the children gathering the swords wrapped in the flags that the Boy Scout, who's the American, is handing the swords to a boy in Bavarian garb, in German garb, signifying that America is giving world power over to Germany. So I've looked at this painting and I don't really buy that claim because the Boy Scout is paired with a Russian child giving the swords to the Bavarian boy, and it's actually the Russian child who's closer to the German boy. So I don't see this as America handing over power in some form to Nazis. Theory number 5, or there are more hidden messages just all around you. The floor of the airport also may contain some hidden messages. So there are seemingly mysterious words carved into the floor throughout the airport. And the words are Kochetopa, Cisnagini, and Dzildagali. The floors around the B gates of the airport are also inscribed with the words Broxma and Villarreal. And if you look further, you will see small engravings of creatures like dinosaurs, nautilus shells, ferns, and other fossilized-looking organisms. Theorists have guessed that they're anything from an alien language to Illuminati code. Additionally, there are the letters AUAG carved into the floor. These are the periodic table of element symbols for silver and gold, but theorists think it stands for Australian antigen, which is part of a form of hepatitis, like an antigen in hepatitis, and maybe it's a clue about a deadly disease that will one day be unleashed on humanity. However, a few minutes of research indicate that these carvings probably aren't all that creepy. So a quick look at the Denver International Airport webpage finds that this is a work of art, big surprise, called B Gates. It's at the B gate. A deeper look shows that these words are Navajo words, and 2 of the words are last names of artists who worked at the airport. Kochetopa means mountain pass in Navajo, Cisnagini means the Black Mountain, and Dzildagali means the White Mountain. And then Broxma is Carolyn Broxma, and Villarreal is Mark Villarreal. So 2 artists who worked on the airport. So my take on all of this is, so when I first heard about everything, probably in about 2009, I was very intrigued, especially with the curious and creepy murals and the New World Airport Commission plaque. I was just like, what does this mean? Those are kind of creepy murals, and they seem to be a little bit too elaborate and symbolic to just be taken at face value. And so I was super intrigued. And then couple that with the New World Airport Commission, I was like, wow, does this mean that there's like a bunker underneath and elite come to the airport and they can look at the paintings and then connect the dots and figure out where to go to the underground bunker? I was just intrigued. I was just like, that would be crazy if it was true. And then also the Australian antigen carving on the floor. Back in the day when these theories first began to surface, a lot bigger deal was made about the Australian antigen, and people were wondering, Australian antigen, is it going to be released in the water supply or released in the air supply? So I remember hearing a lot about that. But at this time in 2009 or so, when a lot of people were talking about these theories, nobody was really coming out rebutting anything, saying, well, no, the New World Airport Commission really did exist, and I was on it. Like, people weren't really saying that, or if they were, it wasn't widely broadcast. But after closer inspection, I think that the planners of the Denver airport just have a very weird taste in art and wanted to cultivate an odd aesthetic. A lot of attention is paid to the murals, to Lucifer, the horse out front, and to the gargoyles popping out of the suitcase. However, these pieces of artwork are just a fraction, honestly, of the artwork that is present at DIA. And so I find it very interesting that people honed in on these several pieces of artwork, whenever a lot of the other artwork is pretty odd in its own regard. So there is a lot of weird artwork there. But then renovations of the Great Hall recently began, and one of the Tanguma paintings, the more controversial one, the one about Children of the World Dream Peace, the one with the soldier stabbing the dove, that has been placed in storage, as well as the gargoyle statue, the gargoyle popping out of the suitcase. It's a piece called Notre Denver, named after Notre Dame. And then once the renovation is finished, they will return these pieces of artwork either to the Great Hall or to another place in the airport. But the fact that one of the more creepy, symbolic pieces was removed doesn't really make sense, especially if it was supposed to hold secret meanings to elite travelers. If it was supposed to hold a really secret meaning that elite travelers needed to tap into in order to reach the underground bunker, why would they remove it when it would be needed? So, yeah, what if a member of the elite needed to fly in? So I find that, that theory doesn't really hold any water. I think it's just weird artwork. So I hope you enjoyed hearing the myriad of theories about the Denver International Airport, and we will see you next time.